I felt like ever since he's gotten paid, he's regressed pretty considerably. The last 2 years, 29 touchdowns to 21 turnovers. He's getting paid like a top 5 quarterback, but here are the list of quarterbacks that I would pick over him to this point. Now,
Okay.
everyone wants to put him in the top 10 conversation, and if you leave him out of it, it's ridiculous. Well, here are the quarterbacks that I'd rather have over him. Just going down each division. I'd rather have Tua, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow,
Really,
Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr at this point, Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, Matt Stafford, and hell, I'd even take Kyler Murray to this point. The difference between, some of these guys are rookies and some of these guys are less proven, but at the same time, with the contract that they're giving you and with what seems to be somewhat of an ego trip at some points as well, those 3 interceptions, all of those interceptions were just insanely bad decision-making on his part. And the problem is that he wasn't always like this. His season 2021, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. He wasn't as loose with the football as he has been the last 2 years. It feels like ever since he's gotten paid, he either has to prove why he's worth the money that he is, or he just doesn't care anymore. But either way, all the criticism that he's earned, he deserves it at this point. Now, Tony Pollard, I think the role that he's in, he's a fine player. Same, you mentioned James Conner, that's a good role for him. But also with Micah Parsons, everyone wants to anoint him as the best player in the league, especially ex-Cowboy players especially. But this is why I don't put Micah Parsons in the same conversation as TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald. The reason why they're not put in the same conversation is because there are games like these where Micah Parsons just disappears for a while. People take care of him. Maybe it's double coverage where he just kind of disappears for a while. And this is why I don't anoint him as the best in the league, although he's super talented. But for the Cowboys, like, as much as we kind of expected them to lose this game, to lose like this is such a whimper down, lay on your backs and just take it kind of game. People anointed them as the 3rd best team in the conference. But to this point, the Eagles wouldn't have a performance like this. The Lions wouldn't have a game like this. Hell, I don't even think the Falcons would have a game like this, or the Bucks, or the Saints, or hell, the Cardinals put up a better fight than they did. And the Cardinals are tanking. So for the Cowboys, you got to look yourself in the mirror and think, how did you lose this badly? I understand the 49ers are the best team in football, but you're considered one of the best in the league as well. You should not have a game like this. This is pathetic on every level.
Yeah, it's pathetic on every level. And the reason why I picked the 49ers and I knew the Cowboys weren't the Super Bowl favorite or the best team in the NFC thus far was just look at the schedule. You face the Giants, one of the 4 worst teams in the league. You face the Patriots, now one of the 4 worst teams in the league. You faced the Cardinals, one of the 10 worst teams in the league, even though they've been competitive in a lot of their games. And then
The Jets.
Yeah, then you face the Jets, where that was Zach Wilson's first start on the road in Dallas. So you're really able to take advantage and just bully inferior opponents, which what the Cowboys have done the past few years has just been really good at bullying inferior opponents. And then when they have someone who's a heavyweight step up to the plate like the 49ers, they've had situations where they're not able to overcome that. And when we saw it last year where they barely beat the Philadelphia Eagles with Gardner Minshew starting, Gardner Minshew threw 3 touchdowns, but he had 2 interceptions in that game. So it's like they've struggled the past few years with good teams. And then there's Mike McCarthy can only take you so far with this team. But also the talent on this offense just isn't good enough. People are acting like losing Dalton Schultz is just like, oh yeah, he's pretty replaceable. He's not though. He's a productive tight end. He's a really good 3rd down guy. And you're trying to take advantage of the middle of the San Francisco 49ers defense, but you can't do that without a big physical receiver or big physical tight end. You drafted a tight end this year. So far, he hasn't been to the level of Dalton Schultz. So not only do you lose Amari Cooper one year, now you're losing just Dalton Schultz, who is a solid player for you, where before you had Amari and CeeDee Lamb. Well, that's just the price you pay when you overpay an average, slightly above average quarterback in Dak Prescott. And then you pay him all of this money, but then that takes away from the weapons he has on offense. When Dak was at his best was when Ezekiel Elliott was dominant. And not just dominant, they had one of the best offenses in the league because Zeke was at the peak of his powers. You had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb coming both into their own at the peak of their powers as a really solid 1-2 punch. So it's like, for the Cowboys, it's like they've never been a big game team. They've always choked in the playoffs. So it's like, yeah, they went out there and beat the Bucs last year, who were super injured. They blew out Tom Brady when he was 45 years old. Hate to see it, but that just wasn't the Bucs year last year. And then versus the 49ers, Brock Purdy is a rookie who was taken in the last round of the draft. And then he's making better plays and better decisions than Dak Prescott, where you mentioned his picks. Like, what was you just overthrew your receiver? Like, that just reminded me of when they would call it an Andrew Luck punt when it was like 3rd and long. Andrew Luck just chucks it down the field. Sure, fine, whatever. But like, you don't need to turn the ball over. You can actually look out there, try and pick up the first down. If not, just throw it away. Then you get to punt it away. You don't have a return. And then the second one was just bad. The guy jumped the route, picked him off, and then the third one just looked like he was like, yeah, get me off the field at this point. I'm too cool to come out here and get blown out. And then the fact that he has the nerve to be like, oh yeah, we'll see what we do. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. Who gets the last laugh? Well, it's like, you guys aren't even close to beating the San Francisco 49ers.